When Eilat Mazar realized she discovered an ancient structure near Jerusalem, she turned to the Bible to help explain what she found.
Before her death, Dr. Eilat Mazar said something few archaeologists would ever dare to confess, that what she uncovered beneath the city of David was not just history, it was prophecy resurfacing. She believed the stones themselves were aligning with Scripture, and that what she found beneath David's palace was meant for this generation, not hers. She warned that the discovery would shake both believers and skeptics, but only if the truth was told before she was gone. Eilat Mazar was not just another archaeologist. She was a descendant of explorers who treated the Bible as a map rather than a myth. In her final interviews and private notes, she hinted that her last excavation beneath the Palace of David revealed something far more explosive than pottery or foundations. She said prophecy was embedded in stone, and that future generations would understand what her generation refused to see. Before she died in 2021, she confided to colleagues that she feared the truth would be buried with her, just like the ruins she spent her life uncovering. But what if her findings weren't meant to stay silent? What if her final revelation connects directly to what's happening in Jerusalem right now, politically, spiritually, and prophetically? Because the more we examine her discoveries, the more one question refuses to stay buried. Did she uncover physical proof that King David's dynasty and the prophecies tied to it are ready to resurface in our time? Unlike most academics, Eilat Mazar made a bold claim early in her career. If you want to find biblical Jerusalem, read the Bible first, then start digging. While others dismissed Scripture as religious folklore, she treated it like GPS. Her guiding reference wasn't just archaeology textbooks, it was 2 Samuel 5, where David fortified his stronghold in the ancient city. Mazar believed that if David was real, then his palace, his walls, and his royal courts had to exist beneath the soil. For decades, skeptics mocked the idea. They said King David was exaggerated, if not entirely fictional, a tribal chieftain turned into legend. But in 2005, Mazar broke ground in the city of David and uncovered the ruins of a massive 10th century BCE structure, far larger and older than anything they expected. Was it David's palace? She believed so, and she wasn't alone. But she later admitted there was more, something she hesitated to make public. And that secret, she said, could rewrite not only Israel's history, but prophecy itself. When Mazar uncovered the massive stone walls in the city of David, she knew immediately this wasn't an ordinary administrative building. The structure was fortified, elevated, and positioned exactly where 2 Samuel places David's royal seat. Pottery fragments from the 10th century BCE confirmed the dating, and Phoenician-style engineering hinted at royal cooperation, just as the Bible records with King Hiram. Critics tried to downplay it. They said it could have been a fortress or government complex. But Mazar insisted. This is where a united monarchy ruled. What she didn't make public right away was what came next, what she found buried beneath the palace floor. She warned before her death that the deeper layers held a message history tried to erase, and she believed it was uncovered, too early for her generation, but right on time for ours. During the palace excavations, Mazar's team discovered ancient clay bullae, seal impressions, bearing names straight out of the Bible. Among them were Gemariah, son of Shaphan, and Yehuka, son of Shelemiah, officials mentioned in Jeremiah 36 and 38 during the reign of King Zedekiah. These were not legends, these were signatures. Even the harshest critics of Scripture began to panic. If these biblical figures were real, then the royal administration, the prophetic warnings, and even the exile were historical, not symbolic. But Mazar hinted at something bigger, another name, another layer, still waiting under newly sealed ground. She believed Jerusalem would not see it until the time aligned with prophecy, and today that alignment is closer than ever. Eilat Mazar often quoted Isaiah 28:16. See, I lay a stone in Zion, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone for a sure foundation. She believed prophecy was not only spoken, it was buried. In her final interviews, she claimed the architecture of the palace aligned with passages in 2 Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles, describing the House of David as a dynasty designed to outlive empires. But she said the discovery was incomplete and that a missing piece would surface when the world was ready to confront prophecy. With rising tensions in Jerusalem, growing talk of the Third Temple, and renewed excavations planned around the city of David, was she hinting that the physical foundation of Israel's future and Messiah's return was already touched by her hands? She said she didn't fear death, she feared silence. As Mazar dug into David's palace, Jerusalem was simultaneously facing its most explosive decade since 1967. Rising conflict around the Temple Mount, new tunneling beneath the old city, and international pressure over excavation rights were setting the stage for something bigger. She believed archaeology was not random, it was permitted by timing. She often referenced Psalm 102:16, "For the Lord will rebuild Zion and appear in his glory." To her, excavation was part of that rebuilding, not just for tourists or textbooks, but for prophecy. Shortly before her passing, she warned that nations would fight over stones before they recognized the script written on them. And the closer the world gets to uncovering David's full kingdom, the more resistance would rise. She was right. It's happening now. In conversations with colleagues, Eilat Mazar hinted that she held back certain findings intentionally. She believed some truths wouldn't survive academic suppression or political backlash if announced prematurely. She wrote in a private note shortly before her death, "There are things I found that belong to the future, not to the present. The world is not ready to accept the full weight of David's throne." What did she mean by that? Some believe she discovered deeper chambers, unexcavated rooms, or artifacts tied directly to the early monarchy, possibly even to Psalmic worship or royal lineage. And if uncovered in our time, those finds could legitimize not just Israel's past, but Israel's prophetic future. Even after her death, Mazar's excavation sites are being revisited. Israeli archaeologists are now returning to areas she marked but never opened. Ground-penetrating scans around the city of David have revealed voids, chambers, and walls still buried beneath bedrock. Some experts now whisper that the next discovery could involve royal inscriptions, temple artifacts, or even genealogical evidence. Why does that matter? Because 2 Samuel 7:16 promises, "Your house and your kingdom shall endure forever before me. Your throne shall be established forever." If archaeology verifies the Davidic line in greater detail, it will collide head-on with messianic expectations and geopolitical reality. Countries, UN councils, and religious groups are already fighting over who controls what lies beneath Jerusalem. Islamic authorities deny the first temple ever existed. Secular scholars downplay David as folklore. Political figures warn against provocative digs. Why? Because stones have consequences. Mazar once said, "They're not afraid of archaeology. They are afraid of what it proves." Her discoveries were never just academic, they threatened entire ideological systems. And now, with new digs planned just meters from where she stopped, the question is not if something earth-shaking will surface, but when. Eilat Mazar didn't live to publish everything she found, but she believed her final work would speak after she was gone. She said the Bible was not waiting to be defended, it was waiting to be excavated. Before she died, she reportedly told a colleague, "If I don't say it now, someone else will uncover it when the time comes." David is not finished speaking. His kingdom is not done. And with the world turning its eyes once again to Jerusalem, Temple Mount tensions rising, prophetic movements growing, and archaeology racing against politics, the stage is being set. The question is no longer, did Eilat Mazar find something? The question is, what did she leave behind for the last generation to uncover? And when it surfaces, will the world be ready
to face what she already knew.